Welcome to the Building Doors Podcast, where we're not just pushing for opportunities for women's voices to be heard, we're creating them. I'm Christy Harst, voiceover actor and creator of the Building Doors campaign. Join us as we amplify voices, break barriers, and build doors together.
Hi, I'm Laya Hoffman, and I'm a proud door builder in the Building Doors campaign. My journey into voiceover was a crooked one. I guess everybody's path is unique. I was a DJ growing up in my late teens in Chicago, and I thought my love of music would transcend onto the airwaves. And so I went to school for radio broadcasting at Columbia in Chicago. A couple of years into college, I had a traumatic incident that took me out of school. And I decided to leave the city and drop out of school and move to Colorado. I lost my voice for a good bit of time and kind of turned to the mountains to find solace, strength, and my voice again. And it was through riding mountains and snowboarding that I finally got my strength and my voice back. And I joined a local radio station, KFMU, in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And I was the drive time jock for a couple of years. I then produced an electronic radio show called The Beat Parlor that was syndicated through the mountain towns, and was able to merge my love for electronic underground music with voice. When you are on the radio, especially way back then, you also did all the commercials. We literally would slice the audio reels and tape them together to edit. That's how long ago this was. Well, I eventually moved out of Colorado and found myself in places like San Francisco and Los Angeles, and eventually to Atlanta, where I gave up the radio side of things, realizing there wasn't a whole lot of money in it, and it wasn't quite sustainable unless you were in a major market. And I just didn't have the high-energy personality for that. My career shifted, and my love of music stayed. So I turned to the turntables and started playing out, DJing in clubs and meeting some friends in that circuit. When you're in the nightclub industry, it's all hands on deck. You wear many hats, learning marketing and promotions and PR. And then I started running nightclubs. But throughout this entire time, I never stopped talking, I guess, into the mic. I was always asked to record radio commercials for clients or for club nights, especially since my voice has some flex, and was attractive to all types of club goers in all different genres, from our hip-hop radio station to the electronic and pop radio stations. So I guess I had that going for me. I was also always on stage, commanding a room for New Year's Eve events and big parties, always live announcing as the MC, and I didn't even realize it at the time that that's exactly what my future would become after some other detours. After years in the nightclubs and harnessing the self-taught knowledge of marketing and promotions, my career took a turn into the professional beauty industry. I was the vice president of marketing for North America for a professional beauty brand and worked for corporate for many years. That job was incredible. Took me all over the world, met all kinds of brilliant, creative people. But it also kept me away from my family way too much. And at the time, I had a 4-year-old daughter, and it was more important than ever that I was around and I was teaching her how to use her voice. And so after I kind of reached a breaking point, I thought if I could use all of my knowledge and my skills and my expertise on how I market other brands, what if I could use all that for myself? And looked at this thing called voiceover to start my own business and bet on me. And so I did. My first big break came after I realized that voiceover in itself was actually an industry. I was doing some Googling and I figured out that there was something called VO Atlanta. Now, I live in Atlanta, so figuring out that there was a conference right down the road happening a week from that day that focused exclusively on voiceover was like a serendipitous sign from the universe that I don't think I realized until many years later. But I went to VO Atlanta. I bought a ticket. I didn't know anyone. And I became suddenly aware just how vast this industry is. and that people were making a living off of this. Well, I don't know what I thought voiceover was, but VO Atlanta in 2018 opened my eyes to it all. I took it all in. I met some great people. The wheels started cranking. I figured out that there are so many different genres of voiceover, so many different tracks and paths, and everyone's was unique. And it actually had nothing to do with the quality or the sound of your voice, but really the psychology of how you use it to tell stories. And that's what I love to do. So I was all in after that. It was then that I finally put some pieces together, started building out my website, started reaching out to people I had been doing commercials with for years in the Atlanta market that were more club or brand-centric, mostly ads on the radio. And then I finally quit my day job. Anyway, that was back in 2018. And luckily, it worked out. I ended up just squirreling away every little bit that I could and learning as much as I could. My first voiceover booth was between two filthy old mattresses in my basement, which we called Skid Row Studios. And it was there that I started recording my first campaigns. I got signed with the local agency, RSH, here in Atlanta, and picked up a little bit of work. And then I just never stopped. I leveraged the pay-to-plays, of course, Voice123 and Voices.com at the time, and really just poured all of my effort into developing anything that I could, from online seminars and listening to podcast episodes to really listening to all the ads out there and promos and things like that. A few years later, because of Voice123, I was put in touch with the people producing the X Games at ESPN, and I auditioned for what I considered one of the biggest passion projects of my life, and definitely one of my most proud moments, especially considering how I started. I auditioned for the opening sequence of the X Games, and I booked it. Actually, I didn't book it the first time. They came back and I went with a guy's voice, a guy at Atlas, and me, a nobody that wasn't represented by anything. They booked him, and they came back to me and said, we really wanted a female voice, and the grit and gravitas that your voice carries and the passion that you can hear for the games comes through. And so they booked me for it. And then they booked me again. And then they booked me again for the next few seasons. And it was actually that promo that won Best Promo at One Voice in 2023 against my friend and coach and one of my role models in this industry, Mark Ryder. Shout out to you, Ryder. And I beat him. A female voice beat a man like Mark Ryder in a category filled with men for the One Voice Awards in 2023. Yeah, that was definitely a highlight. Kind of a full circle moment. Anyway, these days I specialize in commercials, promos, sports promos specifically. I had the opportunity to be one of the first female voices on the NHL network. And now I am only one of two female voices on the in-house roster at ESPN for voice actors, which is kind of a little-known secret. And that's really why the Building Doors program and campaign was so appealing to me. It was because I was already trying to forge ahead in a space that was predominantly male and made some incredible headway. And I wanted to be able to support other women that were trying to do the same thing, because we are the audience. And not only are we the audience, we are the consumer. We are over 50% of this population, and we should be heard. And so joining this campaign, this initiative, is definitely one of the more proud moments of my career, and being able to share this story with you. Anyway, getting back to what I love to do on the mic stems back from my roots producing shows and throwing parties and events. I love live announce VOG MC work. It's my favorite. I've been the proud voice of Delta Airlines and their annual Chairman's Club Gala event and their Centennial event that just happened a couple of weeks back. That's some of my favorite work out there. Recently, in the last couple of years, I've also been all in on politicals, exclusively for the Dems. I also love using my voice for corporate narration and in-show documentaries. I prefer the shorter stuff. My attention span doesn't quite have it yet in the bag for audiobooks, but I feel like that's coming. It's on the way, as long as the robots don't take our jobs. What I love about working in all genres is the ability to storytell and really shine through any life experiences in this way. I recently beat breast cancer, and there isn't a week that goes by where 3 or 4 cancer spots aren't sitting in my inbox as auditions to submit. And working through the personal experience, applying it, and not applying it in a way that's a victim, but as a survivor, as an advocate, as a champion on the other side, definitely helps inform the read and sometimes even books the job. And with that in mind, I'm proud to say, with the help of incredible coaches like Dave Walsh and Tina Marasco and Nancy Wolfson, to name a few, I was able to break through that personal experience and shine light in an empowering way. And I just booked a massive clinical trials cancer research campaign for Eli Lilly. And I just recorded last week, thanks to my team at ACM. So, yeah, feels pretty good. My dream clients and brands I'd love to voice for are forward-thinking, conscious brands that are doing stuff in a positive way for the environment and aren't just selling. Trucks like Rivian that are doing eco-smart automobiles, clean beauty, brands that are giving back and paying it forward. Those really have a place near and dear to my heart. And while I am not the biggest sports fan of traditional team sports, of course, continuing on in promos is the name of the game for me. I'd love to see more females in that space. And to be able to speak to the energy and the enthusiasm behind sports promos and sports in general, it would be a big honor to me. Not only cheering on athletes, but more importantly, female, disenfranchised, minority, and transgender athletes that are out there with their bravery, building on the back of their strength and their determination, regardless of the odds. Those are the stories that I want to contribute my voice to. My voice definitely stands out in the genre of sports, of automotive, of really advertising in general, is because I feel like I'm relatable. I'm real. I've got depth and warmth and grit and gravitas and range for days. So while this is my speaking voice, the characters that I can convey throughout my life's experiences definitely give me a point of view and a point of reference to draw from that I think is very unique. And I'm a fucking pro, and I'm pretty fun to work with too. It took a long time to get comfortable with that, to be confident in my voice. It took a lot of therapy, a lot of coaching, a whole lot of money invested in time, and trust and believing in myself. And I wish that for more women. I wish that for more humans. Putting on a false sense of sound isn't authentic. And so the more I get comfortable with this sound, the me, the real me in there, regardless of the characters and the story and tone, that is when I book the most, and that's when I feel the most connected. And hopefully people like you feel it too. I received some feedback once when I was working with Halle Berry on her first directorial debut of her movie called Bruised. I was hired to be an MMA commentator. And when we started the session, I had no idea the Halle Berry, the director, was going to actually be in the looping session that we were in. Myself and a great fellow talented actor, Matt Giro, was also in the Zoom room with me. She came on and our mouths just dropped wide open. And she said, "Oh, wow, Laya, I'm so glad you're here. You have the sexiest voice I've ever heard. You've definitely got the best sound that we're going to have here in the movie." I died. I mean, I had to perform after that. Best day of my life on the mic. As far as my personal flair goes, something unique about me that influences my VO style goes back to what I was saying earlier, my life experiences. They're so vast. I've traveled all over the world. I've built my own brand. I am a hardworking, hustling, dynamic powerhouse of a woman. It is one of my sole purposes in life to lift other women up, to teach my daughter, who is now 12, but has been working with me on the mic since she was 5, that her voice matters and that she can stand up, speak out, and be heard. And that combined with some really hard knocks, some big epic life experiences, and some situations that never killed me. They just made me stronger. They influenced my style, the depth, the warmth, the realness that I deliver with every project I do. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Fun fact, people don't necessarily know about me other than my first name is Rachel. My friends know me as Rachel, but I work under my middle name, Laya, as there was another Rachel Hoffman in the union when I entered the industry. But I answered to both, not a big deal. The real fun fact, though, is that I used to moonlight as Dracula's bride, Kilvania, as a on-the-street interactive actor for Fright Fest at Six Flags Great America for many years. It's one of the best jobs I ever had. So much fun. Yeah, I was Dracula's bride at Fright Fest. It was awesome. If my voice was a brand, what would it be known for? Taking big risks, being super bold, yet humble, wise, beyond years, connected deeply to nature as an empath to people too. And yeah, some brand you just can't help to be around. That'd be me. Anyway, thanks for listening and checking out my Building Doors podcast episode and for your support of the campaign. If you'd ever like to work together, you can email me at Laya@layahoffman.com or check out my work on my website at layahoffman.com. Thanks for listening. Keep building doors and holding them open for other women. And stay well.
Thanks for listening to the Building Doors podcast. Want to hear more? Check out all our episodes at buildingdoorsvo.com/podcast and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at buildingdoorsvo. We'd love to hear from you, so call us on our 24/7 hotline at 216-307-1917 and leave us a voicemail with your thoughts. Do you want to support the podcast? Well, we love coffee. Buy us a cup through the link in the description or at buildingdoorsvo.com. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep speaking up, and let's keep building doors together.